Hello everyone, and welcome to our office. I'm Dr. Michael Schwartz of West Palm Beach, and today we're very fortunate to have lovely Christine with us, who is going to be sharing her rhinoplasty experience with us. So Christine, this is actually what we're talking about is going to be a revision rhinoplasty, and you've had previous surgery before?
I've had 2 surgeries in the past.
2 surgeries, and the last surgery was?
30 years ago.
30 years ago. Wow. Okay. Why don't you tell us, if you don't mind, in your own words, what brings you to looking for a repeat surgery, or what problems you're having, what issues you'd like to have addressed, and then we'll talk about that.
Well, shortly after having the second surgery 30 years ago, and once the healing was complete, I noticed that my nose started to tilt to one side, the tip of it, and I also, the breathing issue that I was having at the time, that I thought I was getting fixed, was not fixed. It kind of became worse in a way. Couldn't sleep at night. So it didn't look at all what I thought I was going to have. And it didn't function how I thought I was going to have. So all of this time, it's bothered me. Breathing wise, but also the way it looks really bothers me. I'm self-conscious about it. So I'm really happy that you can take a look at this and see what you can do about it.
So our problems are both breathing and aesthetic.
Yes.
And the breathing problem is always, but worse at night when you lie down as well.
Right.
Okay. And what are the aesthetic problems that are most concerning for you?
The look of having too much taken off at the top, and now I have a hump right in the middle, and that one side of my nose is a little tilted to the side, and then it just pokes out.
Okay.
Like a little hook.
Well, that's a very good analysis of it. So Christine has shared this with us, and as she mentioned, we have both breathing and aesthetic problems. And what we're going to do first is just take a look at her and look at some of her photos, and we'll be able to diagnose and explain what's going on. And we'll talk a little bit about the type of goals that we believe I can achieve for her, both aesthetically and breathing. So as we look at her, and we'll look at her photos too, you can see she has, from front view, a little bit of some washed out area here. As she's pointed out, she feels like she had too much taken off, and that looks a little bit more washed out because she still has some prominence here. But the big problem that shows in terms of her, and it also affects her breathing, is she has what we sometimes call the inverted V deformity, where the sidewall cartilage, which support the breathing, has collapsed in. And so when she breathes in, go ahead, breathe in, you see her nose actually pulls in a bit there like that. And when we actually support it, lift it out a little bit, I know this isn't fun, that feels better?
Much better.
Right. When it's put back to its natural place, then that will restore the breathing. Also, you can see that she has poor, what we call columella support, in that her columella is retracted up, making her tip hang down, and it makes her upper lip look overly large. Tilt your head up a little bit for me. She has some asymmetry of her nostrils, and one is a little bit closed as well. We come over here, we can actually look at some of her photos, and maybe we'll be able to explain these a little bit better. So here again we have her front view, and we can demonstrate this. You see, because of the photo shadowing, it really shows up. You see this, what we call the inverted V, which is classic of the upper lateral cartilages being collapsed in, causing breathing problems. We see some nostril asymmetry, the excessively long length of the upper lip with some columella retraction, and some of the over-resection there with some shadowing and washout. Well, as we look at the base view, again, this is what we talked about, where we have nostril asymmetry and actually some collapse of this nostril side wall, and This left side is actually the one that you have more trouble breathing on, you said, at night.
Yep.
And so that's an additional reason for that, for her. On her lateral view, we can see the over-resection of the bridge, the bony dorsum, under-resection of the cartilaginous dorsum, the lower part, and this creates what often is called the polybeak deformity because of this shape, but it also causes her tip to be under-projected and gives it a drooping look, and we see that the lip is long because the columella is retracted there. And on her oblique view, again, what comes right out at you is the over-resection of the bony dorsum, the fullness that's there on the cartilaginous area or the polybeak, but also take a look at this. You can see this deep shadow which corresponds with the collapse of the nose in the middle area, which is what contributes to her significant airway problem. So as we described, this is a complicated problem, both aesthetic as well as functional, and in order to correct this, we need to do a revision rhinoplasty that is both functional and cosmetic, and it's almost reconstructive in nature. So our plan or our recommendation would be to use an open rhinoplasty approach, and what we want to do for you is we're going to build up your middle vault where things are collapsed so it has good support. We're going to lower your polybeak area, but then we're going to augment the entire profile so that we make up for the area that's over-resected and we have a smooth, even profile. We're going to give better support to your columella and project it out so your lip doesn't appear so retracted or so long. And then we're going to reshape your tip so that it's not hanging below and so that it has a better projection and better support for you. And what that might look like would be something like this. And I've done some computer imaging here to try and show what our goals would be. And so here is a computer simulation showing the side walls to be lifted out, the columella brought down to make the lip look shorter, and some better projection of the tip. Here's a simulation of what her lateral view would be, and you can see what we're looking to do is to lower the prominence of the polybeak, and then at the same time augment somewhat the entire bridge to give an even, smooth profile or dorsum. The tip projection will be improved and lifted up, and we talked a little bit about the columella coming down, so we have better projection there. And on your three-quarter view or oblique view, what we've done and how this would look is, again, we've given you a more smooth profile by lifting out the cartilage here of the upper lateral. We've supported your airway so this won't be collapsed, and we diminish that shadow. Your tip projection will be improved, as will your lip columella relationship. Here's a printout of what I was just discussing, and tell me, is this the type of goal that you would have in mind for yourself? If it's, we do the imaging both to give you some idea of what it would look like, and to make, but more to make sure that we're both on the same page, because the goal has to be what you have in mind, not always what I have in mind. It's my job to tell you whether it's a doable goal, but this I think is doable and would address many of your concerns, both aesthetically and breathing-wise.
I think it's exactly what I was thinking of, not too much, and just enough to make the changes, and I think that looks great just the way you did it, and yeah, it looks good.
That's good. So we have our plan, and now we want to talk a little bit more about what's involved in a procedure like this. Revision rhinoplasty can sometimes be a complicated procedure, and the reason is because of 2 previous surgeries and long healing time. You have a lot of scar tissue there. Plus, we don't know from your original surgery how much cartilage was removed, either from your septum or your bony dorsum there. In order to create these changes, we need to have a supply of cartilage to reshape the nose, because this is what we're doing now is more reconstructive. It's not reductive where we're trying to make it smaller. So our initial attempt will be to see if we have enough inside there, but if we don't, fortunately we do have some spare parts boxes, and we can find cartilage from our ear, and if we do cartilage ear graft, it comes from the part inside here, so it does not change the look there. Or we have another area which is our rib cartilage, and that gives us an abundant supply of strong cartilage which can support. Now there are pros and cons of these, because it does increase the operating time and some of the healing if we have to go to these other areas. We have some options of using some donor cartilage grafts, and that's something that we can discuss more as time goes on. The advantages of the donor cartilages being that we don't have to go to these other sites, but there are some disadvantages of donor cartilage as well. This surgery is a little tedious, as we said, so it could be lengthy. However, the good part is usually the pain level is very low on this. You will be able to go home that day. You will have a splint on your nose. I do not put packing in my rhinoplasty patients, so you will be able to breathe. We expect that within a week or so, your splint will come off and you'll be able to start resuming some activities. You will see some changes right away. However, you will have a lot of expected swelling, and the nose will take up to a year or a year and a half to completely heal and to see its final shape.
Okay.
So, are you okay with that?
That's great, yeah.
Okay.
Fine with that.
Good. And do you have any other questions or concerns that you'd like to share with us today?
I don't. I think you've
Okay.
answered everything that I had in mind, so.
Good. Are you excited? I'm excited.
I'm very excited.
Okay.
A little nervous.
And that's normal?
Just, you know, it's many years later and going under anesthesia again and doing the whole thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I thank you very much for your time. Can you tell us a little bit, I understand being nervous, so is there anything, what led you to our office, to me, to seek this type of procedure out?
Well, I've heard a lot about you, and you have a really good reputation, and I think you're probably only one of the few doctors I would trust to do this for me. So that's what's making me make the leap to do it.
Well, thank you for your kind words. And I think we have a great plan, and I'm excited. And I will do the absolute best I can for you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. And thank you all for joining us. We will pick up our story again in Christina's rhinoplasty journey as we come closer to her surgery.